Hello YouTube. Just wanted to go over something that I recently discovered. I really love trout fishing. I don't live within, an hour and a half of a trout stream, however, so I do a lot of bass fishing and crappie and bluegill, sunfish, whatever will bite in the lake right outside my front door. It's about a 13-acre lake, so it's pretty good size, and I have never gotten skunked out there year round. I will at least catch one bass. Some days, depending on the weather, and I really like to get out there right before the sun sets or right before the sun is really glaring and pop off some top water. I haven't had a ton of luck with the whopper plopper. I really just like the Bass Pro Shop standard, 2-inch top water popper. But I just recently discovered this. This is the Trout Magnet Neon Kit. I don't really know anything about Trout Magnet other than it's made by Leland lures. Evidently that's the only lure that they made for like a gazillion years was this here Trout Magnet. It comes with little tiny jig heads, and that, like, when I say tiny, I mean they're very small jig heads. The reason I wasn't catching that many bass is because I've got it pretty much figured out that there aren't any huge bass in the lake out in my neighborhood. And I've been kind of presenting a little bit too big a presentation of lures. This right here is one of the jig heads. It's got a little angled front, which, I don't know, makes it sit down more like that and present this little jiggy poo here. It's got a little flipped tail like that, and my two personal favorite colors are this chartreusey dark green color and the one I was just holding up, this pink. I don't know what it is. When I put this in the water, something bites it, and it's really just super satisfying to see something so little in a relatively big pond of 13 acres get hit consistently over and over again. This was, I want to say $10. I think it was around $10 at Bass Pro Shop. But it comes with 10 mealworm color, 10 bubblegum, 10 opaque chartreuse, 10 chartreuse/orange, 10 black/green, 10 pink, and 10 white. And then 5 gold hooks, 5 black hooks, and 5 silver ones. So 85 pieces for $10. This is, I haven't trout fished with them yet. The only reason I bought these was to go trout fishing with them, and then it ended up raining that weekend, and I was like, you know what, let's search YouTube and see what they do elsewhere. But I haven't really seen a review of these where anyone is as happy as I am to talk about them. I really wish that I could work for Leland's Lures, be their CEO, so that they could just mail me these, or I could talk to Mr. Leland, which I doubt even really exists. It's probably a last name, I don't know. But let me show you what I do rigging wise. Let's just destroy everything. I just recently, before I get into the rigging, I just recently purchased some, is it Sea Night? I purchased some Sea Night braid, and this is their 8-pound braid. It's really soft, like it feels like a good quality braid. I just recently started using braid because everyone uses braid, and the last braid I was using was like a 20-pound Power Pro, I want to say, and I was using a real light fluoro leader just to make it invisible and make it sink. But I was looking at a video, and this guy's like, you don't really need that, you just need a light braid. And he was fishing like the I think it was the Trout Magnet. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this. I think it was the Trout Magnet braid that comes in like 2 pounds or 4 pounds. But I don't really want to go that light just because I get snagged a lot, and I just feel like, something more like 8-pound, I can typically rip something out of, with an 8-pound braid. But I've got, here I've got a bobber stopper. I could trim that more, but sometimes after you use this for a while, it tends to loosen up. But that slides, and you cinch it down, and that stops the bobber from going any stops the lures from going any deeper. So this is really good for just adjusting your depth. You know, if you're fishing in 1.5 feet, 2 feet of water, you want it to stop right there so that they don't sink any lower and just scrape the bottom, because that kind of defeats the purpose of having a bobber. But I do like to keep one of my little trout magnets, I like to keep it pretty much on the bottom, and then one about 1 foot up. And I haven't really messed around with that because I've been very consistent, with this setup. One thing I will say about this, what is it, Sea Night? It's not even a name that anyone knows, but it's it says it's Japanese, but the stickers from the mailing, it came in as Chinese, so I guess they're importing it to China and mailing it to the U.S. But when I was spooling this on, after I got done spooling it, my hands were completely yellow, like just totally yellow. You hear that, dog? Anyways, I've got one of them tied on here with just a Palomar knot, and I ran the line back through the bottom so that it would sit, you know, somewhat perpendicular to the line in the water. So it sits like that. And then the other one, just another Palomar knot, just because for something this light, and you know, it's the knot that I grew up with, and it's just, for me, it's the easiest to tie. And I've got the hook kind of running through it to split those little legs open. But man, I just absolutely catch so many fish on these, and I don't know what it is, if it's just a smaller presentation, but it's consistent. I'll catch bluegill, you know, red-breasted sunfish, and bass all day long, and crappie all day long. The crappie population in my lake outside the house is not huge, but I have caught some pretty big ones. If anyone has any ideas as to how to make that population explode, I honestly don't care about bass fishing if I can pull crappie out of the lake all day. Nobody else fishes in the lake, so I wouldn't be upsetting anyone except maybe future residents. But that is my review. Another little tip, I like putting these little crappie nibbles on them, just like shove it in there up under, and you can kind of spread the legs on the lure with this. I wish you could smell this because it smells like absolute garbage. You know, they advertise these as something like a standalone bait under, you know, like a fixed bobber. But I've never had a fish just bite this before. Sometimes on slow days, if I put one on one of those up-down trout magnet lures, I will absolutely get a hit on the one that it's on and not the other one. Like, it's just, you know, everyone knows fish are finicky. But go out, spend $10 on this and use it, especially if you've got, you know, small kids. My stepson is 5, and I haven't really gotten down, you know, using topwater poppers, or, you know, just kind of mixing it up with jigs, or, you know, I'm working on it, and I'm also learning myself, so it's, you know, I'm more of a saltwater fisherman, but I live in Georgia, so you have to do what you gotta do. But perfect weather out recently, except the wind's been blowing like crazy. Anyways, back to my 5-year-old stepson. I can get him set up on an up-down with the trout magnet, tip him with a couple of these, and let him throw it out there, and just, honestly, just let it sit. Especially if the wind's blowing like it has been, it'll move it around just enough, and it's just really easy to catch fish with. But anyways, I hope you like my review of the trout magnet neon kit. If I get 1 thumbs up on the video, I will record myself fishing with them and see what kind of quality I can get. I don't know if I'm recording in 4K right now, but oh well, too bad. Have a great day.